Hey everybody, it is really, really great to see you this morning on this beautiful but overcast spring day. I'm really glad you're here. So today's Friday, and so it's the last live stream of the week. And I wanted to cover the topic of anger. Usually in the mornings, I like to cover things which are more cheerful, which are Hey, Julianne, good to see you. Which usually I like to cover things which are more cheerful, which are, less stressful, but I really felt I needed to address this. I'm getting a lot of people in my life, my personal life, as well as my clients, who are coming in dealing with an enormous amount of anger. And fortunately, I'm able to help them. And the reason I'm able to help them is because I spent probably about at least 7, 8 years dealing with a high level of anger. And for me, a lot of the anger came from insecurity. Hey, Deb, good to see you. For me, a lot of the anger came from not feeling safe, from feeling insecure, either in my environment, in my relationships, or inside of myself. And hey, Vicky, great to see you. And, even though that might not be true for everybody, I think a lot of people are responding to this environment and this community of not really knowing what's going to happen next, not really sure what the next big, surprise is going to be in our life. And typically, we've got these anchors that keep us, fairly well balanced, whether they be sights or scents or smells or memories or visuals or whatever it may be. Usually we do. And then we have people in our life that help keep us anchored too. But lately we've been surrounded by everybody feeling so insecure and so not safe. Hey, Annette. And that's coming out in a high level of anger. Now, that's therapy sorts of things. Hey, Margie. That sort of therapy sorts of things, which we're not going to get into. I am going to focus on the real world, feet on the ground things that you actually can do that will help you dial down the outbursts that you're feeling and the anger and the fact that you're always feeling on edge and wanting, hey, Kathy, and wanting to express yourself in that way, whether you're suppressing it and it's making you sick, or whether you're expressing it and you're becoming one of the toxic, narcissistic sort of people. And we all have the tendency to become that when we're hurting and we feel insecure and we've got these deep wounds. So some of the main things, the three main things that will influence or control how angry you feel are dehydration, blood sugar, and having tools to dial down your stress. Those are the three main things. Hey, Margaret, great to see you. So when I hit 30, hey, Marva, I went to the doctor because I'd been angry for so many years and it had turned into, real distress in my digestion system. So I went to the doctor and he says, aha, you have IBS. Here's some medication for that. And while I was talking to him, I said, well, I discovered before I went to bed, if I drink a glass of water before I go to bed, I don't wake up as angry. I feel more balanced. And he says, well, that's interesting, but, here's the medication for the IBS anyways. So because I went with my wisdom and not just taking the medication, I started, I made that connection. I said, oh, maybe I need to start drinking a glass of water before bed. Now, I know some people are worried about getting up in the middle of the night and peeing and, things like that. But I was more concerned about dialing down my anger. And so it started with drinking a glass of water before bed. And I found when I would do that on a regular basis, that would help my moodiness a lot because I was dehydrated for a million different reasons, because the foods we eat, too much salt, caffeine, diuretics, medications we're on, all sorts of reasons why we're dehydrated that we don't even know. And so when I started that started me on the path of saying there've got to be some holistic ways to help me. Hey, Tara. Yeah, glad that you could, Marva. There've got to be some holistic ways that can help me manage my emotional state of mind, because if something as simple as drinking a glass of water makes me feel less angry in the morning, there's got to be more things going on. And that's what I've spent, let's say, the last 15 years doing, really finding the physical things I can do that help manage my emotional health. So where did I go from there? Well, after that, I read a book called Potatoes Not Prozac. And that book talked a lot about how our emotions are totally guided by how our body feels, and the things that we can do, the foods that we can eat that will help us feel more balanced. And one of the great things I got out of that book was about the importance of having a complex carbohydrate before you go to bed. Because half of my anger, hey Bonnie, at least half of my anger when I woke up in the morning was the fact that I had low blood sugar. And the blood sugar was low because of, I'd eat simple sugars the day before, which would cause, my blood sugar to go up and down, or I'd eat artificial sweeteners, which caused your blood sugar to spike and dive as well. And I didn't have enough slow releasing sugars that I was eating. And her suggestion was half a baked potato. But it can be any sort of complex carbohydrate. And this complex carbohydrate, when it sits in your stomach while you're sleeping, and not a lot, you don't need much. I do potato salad because I love potato salad. Not much, but it acts as a time-release sugar into your system. And so when you wake up, you don't feel so angry because your blood sugar isn't so low. Have you ever noticed, that term hangry? You're angry because you're hungry. That's a lot of how we're feeling, why we're on edge and tripping so quickly, because our blood sugar is all over the place. And so you don't have to necessarily cut a lot of things out, but what I would suggest is that you start putting more complex carbohydrates into your diet, especially a little bit before you go to bed. And it's most helpful if you have high protein in the morning, because that gives you the amino acids you need to help you sleep and the amino acids to help you stay calm. Those amino acids are the building blocks for serotonin and melatonin. And so if you do good protein in the morning, and then as the day goes on, segue to complex carbohydrates, then it will help keep your blood sugar and your mood a lot more level. The third thing that really made a difference for me, besides the water at night and then water in the morning, and water in the morning is a very Asian medicine tradition. And when I ran across that piece, that nugget of gold, then I started to keep water next to my bed. And it's one of the first things I drink when I wake up. So even if I wake up in a bad mood or depressed or angry or frustrated, if I drink the water, it gets me hydrated again. And within usually about 20-30 minutes, I feel better. And it's the same thing throughout the day. If we think that our anger is a symptom of something going on physically, then we can do something about it. And so one of the great tips I give people is when you have a feeling that you don't like, or when you're feeling like you're getting stressed or angry, drink half a bottle or half a glass of water, because it does wonderful things, like it breaks the cycle of how you feel, it hydrates you, which will dial down your stress level, and it distracts you. It gives you just that little bit of a pause so that you don't act out on how you feel, and so that you don't have to fix things or pick up the broken glass later on because you got angry and you lost your cool. It helps flush and detox the anger hormone and the anger chemicals out of your body, and will help keep you level. So a lot of people get annoyed with me because I'll tell them, okay, when you're angry, pause, drink half a bottle of water, and it works really, really well. And so when I ran across that whole water in the morning and dehydration piece, and I realized a lot of times I was getting irritable and stressed out and angry because I was dehydrated, especially in the mornings, because overnight, that made a huge difference. So the last thing was coping skills. When I started to learn that there were herbs and that there were medications and that there were physical things that I could do that would help me dial down my anger and my internal tension, that was a lifesaver. And so I started to realize how valuable it was to go walk when I felt angry, or to visualize hitting a softball when I felt angry, because the body doesn't know the difference between what you actually do in your real life and what you do, what you imagine well. And so when I realized I could visualize hitting a softball really well, that would help move the anger. When I realized how valuable chamomile tea was, hey Samantha, when I realized how I could drink calming things during the day. Most people think chamomile tea, that's for bedtime, it's to help you sleep, or sleepy time teas. When you're jacked up, these herbs, all they serve to do is calm you down. They don't necessarily make you sleepy because you're so jacked up already. What they do is they take the edge off. And so if you're really struggling with anger management, it's good to keep these herbs around. Steep your water. Start drinking chamomile water. Start drinking, sleepy time tea water. Just leave the tea bags in there. They can steep for a long time because they're herbal. And when you do that, that will start to take the edge off of how you feel. And they're very effective for that. Don't leave calming herbs like lavender, chamomile, things along those lines. Don't leave them just to help you get to sleep. Use them throughout the day if you're feeling high anxious or high anger and you're really trying to manage that. So those are my 3 best tips that you actually can do to help you start to dial down your anger if you're feeling it, if you're on edge on a regular basis. So what I'd like you to do is, if you're feeling that way, I want you to take one of those tips, just one, and start putting it as a habit. Just try it out and see if you can, start putting into your life, whether it's a complex carb at night, whether it's water at night, whether it's water in the morning, whether it's drinking, an herbal tea throughout the day to keep you calm. Whatever it is, I want you to put one of those things into your life and start making it a habit. And once that's a habit and you see the really positive results that it gives you, you're going to start to want to do more of it, because these are the things that will help keep you grounded in this very insecure and very unsafe environment that we feel in. Not just, out there with politics in our community, but also with our family members who are having a hard time dealing with their own level of stress, and they're taking it out through anger. Okay? So I will see you Monday. I would love it if you'd leave a comment, a smiley face, a thumbs up, share this, give your wisdom, anything that's helped you out, because we're here together as a tribe. And your feedback and knowing that you're there and that this is helpful really helps keep me motivated, so that we can keep building this and make the difference that we need to make in this world. Okay? So have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you Monday. Bye.